As you stated, I started back in 2017 in August. And prior to that, I was on a waiting list to start driving for Uber. I was told by my friends who drove for Uber that they were making pretty good money, especially supplemental for their full-time job. And like Vienna stated, most the best hours were on the weekends and at night. So 6 months later, I was called by Uber and was given the opportunity to drive for them. And I wasn't the only one. Thousands of other drivers were taken off waiting lists and were given the opportunity to drive. And we were even offered to get non-expensive leases through Uber XL or Avis or Hertz, who they had partnered with, so they could get more drivers on the road, especially with newer vehicles. It didn't matter if you didn't own a vehicle or you had a junker, you were offered those opportunities as well. And then after that, we started noticing that the applications were saturated with drivers throughout San Diego County. And we come to find out that, Uber and Lyft were having a battle for turf. So because we were considered as free human capital, it didn't cost them a dime except for the background checks, the supposed background checks. Because we later come to find out that even though they sent them out, they weren't really done. And so we had bad individuals driving for Uber and Lyft. And so we ended up having to work more hours than we were normally accustomed to working. So not only that, if you were working 60 hours, 80 hours, 20 hours or 15 hours of that time was spent driving around with no ride. You were on the app driving around, but you were just spinning the wheels and your time and spending gas. So later on after that, we started also noticing that our pay started going down. It went from 15% to 25%. And that was around the time that Uber and Lyft started their new project with the scooters. And we felt that the reason that the fees went up to 25% of the rides was because we were covering those fees instead of the company and their investors. The drivers were the ones paying for that project. So not only that, we also noticed because passengers started getting privy of the shenanigans Uber and Lyft were doing to their drivers, and they would ask us, how's working for Uber and Lyft doing? Is it true that you guys are not getting tips or you're getting less pay now? And because a lot of the passengers were open to this and they were sympathetic to us as drivers, they would even share how much they were charged. So there was times where we would find out that on our app as drivers, Uber stated that they charged the passenger $40. In reality, the passenger would tell us that they were charged $55. So we're getting 25% of $40, not $55. Not only that, there was times where they started offering tools like surges or hotspots where there was a surge of demand by passengers. Or if you were to drive really good and got good ratings, you would get gold or platinum or diamond status. And you were able to see like how far you were going to drive off to pick up a passenger and how long the ride was with the passenger on board. And what the rating was of the passenger, because a lot of us, we didn't want to pick up passengers that had 3.5 stars or less, because we felt that they were troublemakers or something, they didn't get 3.5 stars for no reason, right? But we ended up finding out that that was to, so they can prove to California that they didn't qualify for the 3-prong test, stating that, we need to be employees. But in reality, the app was disguised in sheep's clothing because it was working against us. Like I said, If we were to pick up a passenger before, you didn't know how long the ride was to get there. When you have these options that give us the flexibility, supposedly, we come to find out you're going to pick up someone who's 10, 18 minutes away, even 24 minutes away, to only give them 5-minute ride. I mean, where's the profit in that? There was a time where they would tell you, oh, you're going to get paid between $24 and $28 for this ride. But in reality, you got paid $16, $18. So they would sneak that ride into our app by saying that we're going to get paid more when we didn't. There's no flexibility. They own you. If you start denying rides, the long rides, the long pickup rides, you start denying those. You start denying rides of passengers who have 3.5 stars or less. Or if you're about to run out of your 12-hour shift that they allow you to drive because you're about to get a ride from San Diego to LAX and you know it's going to be unsafe, you don't want to fall asleep behind the wheel, and you deny it, all of a sudden you start getting the worst rides of the worst. They penalize you by giving you more longer ride pickups, shorter rides. They don't give you the long rides to LAX, to Long Beach, to Santa Barbara. They're not giving you comfort rides. They're making you get stuck in the regular Uber rides. So there's no flexibility there. They're lying. Just straight out lying. I would start Friday nights at 11 o'clock, and I would end Monday morning at 4 o'clock. And I was normally sleeping 4 hours between each day. And I would make an average of $850 to $1,200. The same amount of money that someone would work during the days, during 6 days a week. After the pandemic, it dropped down to 350, 550 the most, and that was a big chunk. And other people saw it worse who worked during the day because obviously during the pandemic, everyone was quarantined. There wasn't people going to work. There wasn't stores or malls open, so they saw it worse. If Uber and Lyft really, really wanted to offer the benefit packages that they're offering now on the ballot, the $200 million that they're spending on the campaign would have covered 3 years of benefits. Right now, we're talking about drivers, but after November, if Prop 22 passes, I believe we're going to be talking about teachers, nurses, welders, grocers. We're gonna be seeing that on the apps, and all of those people are gonna be in the same boat as the drivers as we are now, and it's just unbelievable that you had the Black and Latino Chamber of Commerce on board, and it's even more disgraceful to see the Si Se Puede Foundation, because minorities are being hit more with this. We had drivers that didn't qualify for EDD. So what they did is they tried to apply for personal loans at the banks. And guess what? The banks told them, you're in the red. We can't loan you. We should vote no on this proposition because we need the benefits. We don't want to depend on public assistance while we're working for multi-billion-dollar corporations. We also need to provide W-2s in order to be able to rent a house, buy a house, or rent an apartment. Imagine also if we have kids that are about to go to college and they want to apply for a grant or assistance. How are we going to prove to them income if we're not given a W-2?